Alright, so Inverted Capes were re-released into the game yesterday in celebration of the game's 25th anniversary. I've managed to fully complete and get myself this year's limit of 4 unique capes on both of my accounts, and I'm going to showcase the fastest methods in order to get each cape for each and every single skill. We'll go in alphabetical order of the skills, and the timestamps will be in the description. Just before we get started, very quick disclaimer. As there is an annual limit of 4 capes per account, I was only able to complete 8 unique skill capes myself, and therefore, I only have the truly first-hand experience with 8 skills of the 29. So the information I'm presenting today was largely crowdsourced and thoroughly vetted from friends and other highly experienced players like myself who all went for different capes. That being said, a lot of these skills will mostly fall into the same meta bracket. For example, most combat skills all have a similar method. Earned skills all share a similar method. Aiea skills are all viable at the Dream of Aiea, etc. So let's go in alphabetical order, and I'll have a rough ballpark of the expected time to complete each skill cape as we go along. Enjoy. Agility. AFK on the Sentiston bikes near the Archaeology campus. If you have Silverhawk boots and feathers, these will also work towards proccing shards, and it'll be one last hurrah for these infamous boots before they're permanently removed later this year. If you've capped out on bike XP, doing your daily Heffin agility post is going to be your next best bet. This happens to be a shockingly fast cape, and personally took me only about 90 minutes AFKing on the bike from start to finish. Archaeology. We've got 2 extremely good methods for this skill. Number 1, if you already have damaged artifacts in your bank, just restore those. It took my Iron Man about 200 artifacts from start to finish. The shard procs are a little bit more infrequent, however, when they do proc, they proc in batches of 100 shards at a time, so ultimately this one ends up being extremely quick. The second best method is going to be using the Sift Soil Lunar spell to quickly sift through Archaeology soil and fish for those low but frequent experience procs. This is going to take about 3600 soil to complete. Attack. Killing monsters in the catacombs. This is going to be similar for all of your combat skills, and this should take about 3 hours. Constitution. Again, killing monsters in the catacombs is going to be your best bet here. Construction. Building any building in the Fort Farin 3 is going to be the fastest option. You're going to be getting constant XP ticks as you're building the buildings, and you're going to get a huge chunk of XP right at the end. This should take about 2 hours doing this. Your next best options are constructing flat packs, semi-AFK, or constructing at the Dream of Aiea. Cooking. This is going to be the first earned skill, and all of these earned skills are extremely fast. The fastest method is going to be to buy the pre-made urns that don't have the rune attached, and then just attach the rune yourself. This will take approximately 3600 urns. Crafting. Cutting gems is going to be your fastest option here. Defense. Killing monsters in the catacombs. This is again going to be similar for most combat skills and should take about 3 hours. Divination. We have 2 very viable methods. This is another skill where attaching runes to urns is very viable and should again take about 3600 urns. Alternatively, using a memory dowser at any divination rift is also extremely viable and relaxed. Expect this to take about 2 hours. Dungeoneering. Okay, this one is not balanced properly compared to the rest. You would think that the method would just be simply running dungeoneering floors or completing elite dungeons, but for some reason it's not. And I had a miserable time going for this one, but the beauty of the cape is worth the grind. So this method requires you to own the Scroll of Daemonheim. That scroll is going to give you a very small amount of dungeoneering XP with any skilling action you perform during a dungeon. So with that scroll unlocked, you're going to start a dungeoneering floor, just at whatever size and whatever complexity that you're willing to grind through. I personally did small complexity 6 floors and fully cleared the dungeon, meaning that I killed every monster and I looted absolutely everything that I could. At the end of the dungeon, I sell all of the loot to the shopkeeper, and with whatever money I get, I'm going to buy the pure essence pouches. I'm going to buy as many as I can, and I'm going to craft them into any rune. It doesn't matter which rune that you craft. The point of this method is that each essence craft that you do is giving you a fraction of dungeoneering XP at the same time. So even if that dungeoneering XP is 0.001 XP per tick, each of those little experience ticks is actually giving you a roll at getting the cape shards. Now, in my experience, I got a ratio of about 50 to 30 shards per floor, with floors taking me about 12 minutes to complete and fully process all of the resources. Expect this cape to take anywhere from 8 to 10 hours. Farming. One option would again be to use runes on unfinished urns, but instead I'm going to recommend to harvest the flowers at Het's Oasis. This is going to be another shockingly fast cape that should only take about 45 minutes. Firemaking. Line firemaking with a pitch can and the one button gameplay setting turned on will be your best bet. Other good alternatives will be to burn the sharp shell shards or just AFK firemaking as normal. Fishing. Again, this is another skill to use runes on unfinished urns for the absolute fastest rate. If you are an Iron Man, your best bet is to AFK Menaphos fishing or Ghostly Souls with the shark outfit set to consume. That's because these methods are very high success rate, meaning that they roll for many fish and therefore many XP drops per hour. Fletching. Every standard training method for fletching is going to be super viable at rolling shards. All of the standard methods are all high action and give big volumes of XP drops per hour. So anything from fletching darts to arrows to even martial bows are going to be super viable. But the number one method I'll recommend is to make Elder God arrows, specifically with the Wisdom of Anima trait toggled. That will give you an XP drop basically every tick, which is going to yield the most XP drops and therefore shard rolls per hour. Herblore. Cleaning herbs is going to be the fastest method here. Hunter. Using runes on unfinished urns is again the best and fastest bet here. Expect this to again take approximately 3600 urns, which seems to be the magic number, but another really good and AFK alternative to filling urns is by hunting at the Croesus Front Hunter nodes. Invention. Manually disassemble stacks of items. It doesn't really matter what item, but for the sake of doing something somewhat efficient and progressing your account, I would recommend disassembling something like salvage, dragonhide armor, gems, or elite dungeon relics. Magic. Killing monsters in the catacombs. Again, this will be similar for most of your combat skills. It should take about 3 hours, and be sure to remember your scavenging 4 perk. Mining. Using runes on unfinished urns is again the fastest method, bar none, for mining. Your next best bet is going to be to mine low-level ores like copper or tin, where you can farm the most XP drops per hour. Necromancy. Unlike most of the combat skills, the best method here will actually be to complete rituals. It doesn't matter which ritual, but as an Iron Man myself, I'm partial to recommending Impure Essence and Manifest Ectoplasm rituals. This is going to take you about 40 to 50 rituals, so expect it to take about 90 minutes. Prayer. Scatter berry method, any bones and ashes together. To do this effectively, you'll set up a preset with 14 bones and 14 ashes of any type. Put the bones and ashes on 2 comfortable keybinds on your action bar, for example keybinds 1 and 2, and then just hold down those keybinds, reloading your preset as needed. Ranged. Killing monsters in the catacombs. Once again, this will be very similar for most of your combat skills and should take about 3 hours. Be sure to remember that scavenging 4 perk. Runecrafting. Using runes on unfinished urns is again the fastest method here, bar none. Your next best bet is going to be to simply do necrotic runecrafting. Slayer. This one, like Dungeoneering, can honestly be pretty rough. Just doing standard tasks alone, it takes quite a while. I found that most of my standard tasks were only yielding about 50 shards per task. So I personally use this as good motivation to get through some Jacqueline point boosting, doing 9 quick, easy catacomb tasks at Jacqueline, and then 1 standard Laniakea task. Doing this, it took me about 5 to 6 hours all said and done. But for the beauty of this cape and the huge amount of Slayer points sitting in reserve now, I'm very happy with that. Another really strong method will be to claim Slayer contracts from Marcus outside of the Slayer Tower, and just blitz through these contracts ASAP. Smithing. Turn +5 Elder Rune or Primal Plate bodies and or full armor sets into the burial versions. Doing this is going to be another shockingly fast one that'll take less than an hour, especially if you're keeping up with those power burst of master strokes. Strength. Killing monsters in the catacombs. Once again, this will be similar for most of your combat skills and should take about 3 hours. Be sure to remember scavenging 4. Summoning. The true Taverly summoning method is going to be your best friend here. This is super fast. All you do is sell some of your tertiary ingredients like your water talismans to the shop in Taverley, craft an inventory of pouches, convert those pouches to scrolls, buy back a new inventory of ingredients, rinse and repeat. Thieving. All of your standard training methods are going to be very viable here for thieving, but pickpocketing with the Sticky Fingers relic is going to be the best go-to method to get this cape done quickly. Pickpocket from your highest level, highest success rate monster, and just go to town. There's so many good options, from Menifos citizens, to the Archaeology campus men and women, to the Tazar creatures, to Firewatch, or even ham members are all awesome. I personally use this as extra incentive to grind out some heists on my Iron Man, and I managed to get the full 120 Thieving Cape done in 2 hours of heist, so really can't go wrong either way here between heist and pickpocketing. Woodcutting. And for the final skill on the list, the best method is yet again filling unfinished urns with the respective rune. Other alternatives are just manually training at your favorite tree like Eternal Magics, and even using divine locations like Divine Use seems to be really powerful. Although that's a method that won't exist for too much longer, so instead I'll just recommend keeping it simple and filling up those urns. And there you have it, the fastest method for earning the inverted skill capes and inverted master capes for each and every skill in the game. I hope you found it useful and wish you good luck on your inverted skill cape grinds. Let me know in the comments, which cape is your favorite and which 4 skills did you choose this year? Across my 2 accounts, I personally did Thieving, Archaeology, Slayer, Necromancy, Dungeoneering, Agility, and Runecrafting. Anyway, share this video with a friend who may find it useful, and subscribe to my channel for a huge year of all kinds of RS3 content. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.